So maxims of teaching, there are many maxims of teaching, even for other methods also, there are nearly 10 to 12 maxims of teaching. Other than this also is there. So, but this is with reference to maxims of teaching English. So the maxims of teaching English is specifically related to these 6 maxims. In exams or in essay, there may be full length questions for 10 marks, wherein you will be asked about say 3 or 4 maxims to write with examples. So examples are a must while giving this answer. Sometimes they ask you short notes also, it may be asked with reference to any particular maxims, wherein the name would be given and the students are supposed to write. So let us start learning the meaning of maxims and the different types of maxims. What is the meaning of maxims? You are learning another method. The maxims refer to certain peripheries, or we can say certain parameters or certain boundaries which has to be taken into consideration by the teacher in order to teach her content very effectively and very efficiently. So maxims are nothing but certain, certain boundaries which are being set, which has to be followed by the teacher, a parameter which has to be followed and implemented in the classroom by the teacher to make the teaching learning process very effective. So, so what are the different types of maxims of teaching? Let us go to the simple one till the 6th one. So the names, they ask you to list the names of maxims of teaching. We have got the 6 names, that is simple to complex, known to unknown, concrete to abstract, particular to general, whole to part, and psychological to logical. These are the 6 maxims of teaching English. So in the question, you are supposed to write only these 6 and it is there in your syllabus. So this is a very important question, very easy and very highly you can score marks in this. For this also, you should have your textbooks with you. For correlation, for principles, for maxims, it is very, very important you have your textbooks with you. Okay, so let us move for the different types of maxims. The first one is say simple to complex. Now simple to complex also, the meaning, that is the teacher teaches the content which is of a simple level and she moves on to teach another topic, another content which is of a higher or difficult level for the students to learn. Okay, so simple is the students understand the things very easily and simply, and then when you move on to a difficult thing, you start with the simple because the student should know what is the thing which you are going to teach, how simple it is. They will comprehend the simple things first so that they can understand the complex matter or content which you are going to teach in a better manner. So simple to complex, even in your English, if you take some topics, suppose you want to teach nouns. I always start with the parts of speech we know. Suppose you want to teach the nouns and the different types of noun. Now for the student, the simple thing is, if suppose you are going to teach it, usually nouns and all is taught even nowadays in the primary classes, but let us assume that the teacher teaches in 5th standard nouns, parts of speech. So when she wants to teach different types of noun, the simple form of the things which she is going to teach would be from noun. Like what is a noun, definition of a noun, okay, certain objects where she can show what is noun. She can also ask certain questions from previous things so that it is very simple for the students to comprehend. The students are aware for that simple noun and she can show different objects and explain the concept of noun. So noun is a simple thing for the students to learn in that class. Now complex, as I told you, when the so complex can be say with reference to say your say different types of noun, or suppose if it is relating to say different types of nouns, in the sense we have that nouns qualitative, we have countable nouns, is uncountable nouns. So when the teacher wants to teach all these things, it is a little bit difficult for the students to comprehend at 5th standard level. So the complex level should be dealt with later. So she cannot start with different types of noun and then go to a noun. So the students get confused. So always it is better to start with the content which it is very simple for the student to comprehend. Similarly, verbs and adverbs. Okay, verb is a simple form, and the teacher teaches an adverbs which is a different level of verbs. Okay, so that also it is a complex for the students. So these are some examples. In the meantime, you have to gather certain examples for each one. Okay, simple to complex, I give you one or two. Start gathering. Usually these maxims, it is be very useful in your grammar and composition. So you can take the topics of grammar and composition which are of simple nature. Suppose composition also, when we have say your essays, we have narrative essay, we have reflective essay, we have creative essay, we have imaginative essay. These are all complex things. So for a student to start with, we can start with an autobiography, which is very simple, talking about oneself. And then we can deal with the different types of essays. Even if it is 7, give the standard also. So maybe for 7th standard, suppose we start with the autobiography of anything, maybe an umbrella or any shoes, anything umbrella. So it is talking about oneself. Then move on to the narrative, that is story type, creative. So these examples you have to give. This question demands good examples for each types of maxim. Second, this also you have done, known to unknown. I will be concentrating more on the examples because the theory part, you know, for the other method, the same holds good for English method also. So known to unknown is nothing but the students already know something beforehand. That is, it is testing the previous knowledge. Students are aware of certain topic which they already know, which has to be linked to the current thing. Like many of you are given your lessons also in your other methods. So in English also, when you're going to teach any new thing, you always find out what the students already know. It is called as the entry behavior. So this maxim, what does this maxim say? Help the students to learn something new with the knowledge the students already has relating to the content. So from known to unknown, students already are familiar to something, but they have been exposed to something new. Okay, here we can have, say, suppose I'm giving an example of adjectives and types of adjectives. This is maybe for 6th, 7th standard also we can have. So the previous simple to complex, I can have adjectives. Okay, maybe so pictures or something. Maybe I can start with adjective which is simple, and then complex will be, then the unknown will be. After taking with the types of adjectives, that is 5 types of adjectives, you all know. Adjective of quality, quantity, all those things are there. Okay, your number wise also, demonstrative, there are different types of adjectives. So when the teacher has to teach something unknown, so she starts with the say types of adjectives, and suppose she wants to teach the degree of comparison. I hope all of you know what are degrees of comparison. It is nothing but positive, comparative, and superlative, where we have good, better, best. Okay, beautiful, more beautiful, most beautiful. Okay, then we have say small, smaller, smallest. These are called as degree of comparison. So if the teacher wants to teach degrees of comparison, which is nothing but related to adjectives, so that is an unknown thing for the students. So she can start with the types of your adjectives, the 5 types, which is known for the student, then move on to degrees of comparison of adjectives. So do collect the examples very appropriately. So which is unknown for the students. So they can have that. Similarly, I can give you another example where the students have got verbs which they know, very simple. So they know certain verbs. They also know certain adverbs, known. Okay. Now unknown, what we can have? We can have the clauses. Verb clause, main verb clause, dependent verb clause. So this is a newer unknown thing for the students of 10th, 8th standard. So 7th, they give the standard also. So the students are familiar with verbs and adverbs when they are in 7th. Now when they are going to clauses, which is a little bit difficult, which is relating to certain verbs, adjective and noun clauses. Or we also have subordinate and main clauses, which may be related to verbs if you are going to teach verb clause. So that is an unknown thing for the student. So that example holds good. So start collecting examples for the first and the second. I will be asking you once I finish it. Okay, one example also will do. You can give it from anything. Okay, maybe prose, poetry, grammar, composition. Usually grammar and composition hold can can give you a lot of examples where you can use it in your exam or when you write your paper. Next is concrete to abstract. Very simple. Concrete, you have studied it. Concrete is nothing but the things which the students are able to see, touch, feel. Okay, these are all concrete objects where the students have the sense. Coming to abstract, the students have to visualize. Abstract is nothing but certain things where the students cannot touch, see and feel it. So it is just they have to abstract it. They have to just imagine. So this maxim says whenever a teacher wants to teach any abstract concepts to the students, the teacher has to start with concrete things. For example, now here also your adjectives will hold good for objects. You show certain objects which is concrete. But with reference to those concrete, how will you build up abstract? This is a very interesting one where abstract may be with reference to qualities of a person. Okay. So suppose I say, if I want to bring out the quality of, say, Birbal, the wittiness, or he has got a very much impact on how to make the people laugh. Even Nasiruddin Hodja, okay, we know his sense of humor. So now these are certain qualities which we cannot touch, okay. But then if you want to show them concrete objects, you can show it by way of films. You can show it by way of pictures. You can also show it by way of your newspapers articles. That is something which they can see. But then abstract, when you want to do that, you have to make them visualize. Like the qualities, you can always show it by way of dramatization. So concrete to abstract. Usually abstract is related to certain qualities. Maybe punctuality, honesty, love, truth. These are all abstract. So how will you make the students understand? Through concreteness. Through concreteness means by pictures you can show, by way of dramatization, and then move on to asking them to imagine or asking them to narrate a story with reference to, say, Akbar, who had a quality of good virtues. Maybe Harishchandra, King Harishchandra, who had the quality of virtue of truth. So you can ask the student the dramatization, you can show Harishchandra the different things, the deeds he does, making the students to then think of the values which are inculcated by seeing such kind of dramas, role play, all those things. Clear? That is concrete to abstract. Now even another important thing, you can take an example of an essay. Now in essay also we have imaginative essay. If you tell a child of, say, second, third or fourth standard, asking them, imagine that your mother is a queen in the this thing palace. So what will the child think? No, how can my mother be? How can my mother be the flying in the sky? So the child cannot imagine. The child will start crying. So if it is for the small level, it is very difficult for us to give some concrete thing. But if it is if you want to teach the imaginative essay for, say, some 8, 9, and 10, what you would do? You can always ask the students, imagine that your father plays the role of a king. The student can imagine. So that is abstract. So concrete to abstract. Next is we have particular to general. Now what is particular to general? Particular to general means what? From examples to definition to concept. Like many of you have known that in your lessons also in grammar part, what is the usual thing we do? In grammar part, we have many examples we give to the students, and through examples we arrive at the concept or definition. Okay, suppose we want the students to know the definition of, say, verbs or tenses. Let me take another example. You want to teach the students the different tenses. Okay, simple, present, past, and future. So here what you would give is, for simple, present, past, and future, you have to frame certain sentences which is showing the action or which is performing, like present, past, and future. Okay, it is raining today. It was raining yesterday. it will be raining tomorrow. These are three examples of past, present and future tenses. And then you ask the student to identify the similarities. Then the teacher can give more examples with reference to these three tenses. And asking the student to just go through three examples, find out the similarities, and then ask them to frame the definition from the examples. So here what the teacher is doing, the teacher is giving the example, that is particular examples of the concept, and then making it generalized. That is, she generalizes a statement after arriving at the definition with the help of students. Okay, so particular to general is nothing but providing examples of a content, more examples for the students to comprehend, and then generalizing. So what will be the generalization for this? So for present tense, the tense which is being used for any activity which is done in the current situation is called as present. And whatever activities it is showing in the statement relating to the past is reflected as past tense, which is already over. And the activities which will be coming tomorrow, or which may be coming tomorrow, or which will be coming tomorrow, these are called as future tense. So the child arrives at the definition and generalizes the definition of present, past and future tense. How? First, by giving the example, the teacher gives example and then arrives at the definition. So this is particular to general. So start collecting examples of this also. Next, coming to whole to part. Like in poem also we have in English poem. Usually what is the trend which is followed in poem is the poet is explained, the contribution of the poet, certain contribution to the poem and what kind of poet he is, naturalist, or he is a very sad person, he is a naturalist. So all this depending on that, we tell the students about the poet and the poem. That is the usual thing. And then the entire poem is usually said in small, say in a small paragraph, or you can say in a short words, like what is the poem all about. So even before beginning the poem, usually the teacher, the language teacher, she tells the gist of the poem in her own words with reference to the content. So here what is happening is the entire poem which is there, it is being read, and then each part by part stanzas we divide. So this holds good for poem. So entire poem gist divided into different stanzas. That is called as whole to poem. Second important example can be letter writing. In letter writing also, usually the teacher may show a full letter to the students, reading the letter for the students. So the student understands and tries to comprehend what is being read with reference to who is sending the letter, what is the purpose of sending the letter, for whom the letter is sent, when it is sent, who signs it. Everything when the teacher is going to read, the student tries to analyze. Vice versa, she can also show the entire letter also on the board. Like when you're going to give the lessons of letter also, after teaching the letter, we show the entire thing also. So usually in letter writing also, the entire letter also may be displayed. Like this is how it has to be written. And then the teacher,
Ma'am,
hello.
hi, yes, ma'am. We can, sorry, ma'am, to interrupt. Ma'am, composition is also one of the example for this whole to part, na? Composition
Yeah, I'm coming to
can
that.
also.
The letter writing.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, letter writing is a type of composition, no? Essay is a type of composition. What is composition? Separate from composition. Composition means your essay writing, your letter writing, your dictation. First,
I mean to say,
so essay also, where we give the today what we are going to learn in the essay, maybe a natural disaster. We can tell them how does the essay will look. So in essay also we can show them the entire essay to them and then start dividing into parts. So letter writing can come, your essay writing can come, your poem can come. So usually it is being done in English. So this has to be followed. Last but not the least, we have the psychological to logical. So what is psychological to logical? Psychology means what? Study of the behavior of the student. So psychology means according to the age, mental ability, the maturity of the students, the content needs to be taught. Okay, so what is psychology? Psychology is a set of behavior of the students, mental behavior, it may be physical. So it is a set of behavior of the students. So how do a language teacher teach her content using this maxim? She has to keep in mind the age level, the maturity level, the interest level, and the content. So all these things she has to keep in mind before she teaches any content. And logical means systematically, step by step. Now here also the example which will hold good is letter writing. According to the psychology, suppose the teacher wants to teach them informal letter. She has to find out whether the student writes some letter to their friends. On what occasion have they written any letters to their parents? On what occasion have they sent any letters to their friends? So once it is being asked, the students, it is touching the psychology of the students. The students feels interested according to the age level. Usually for 6th, 7th standard, we start with letter writing. So at that age, the students are definitely writing their letters. Nowadays we have emails, but earlier we were using letters. Even in some places today also letter is the most common medium of correspondence. So here also it touches the psychological aspect. The student age level is considered, how it has to be taught, and the day-to-day experiences of the students is shared. Very, very important. So such thing. Now, not only letter writing, it can also be a prose lesson. If you are going to teach them something related to a story, like we have King of Marigold, that is he was a king who had he had greed for gold. Okay, the name is not coming into my mind. So he touches the daughter also, who also becomes gold. Now, because if such stories have to be told, some earlier background has to be given to the student. Maybe the student, we can ask the student, can you tell me some story relating to certain kings? So you're touching the psychology here. The students also feels interested. Yes, madam is asking with reference to say some story. So the student also takes keen interest in narrating the story. So that is nothing but the psychological. Coming to logical, once we have touched the psychological, we have to teach the content using certain steps. So even in letter writing, once we have touched upon the psychology, we have to talk about the procedure or the steps or the parts or position of writing a letter. So first, systematically, we have to tell them the position where the parts are written. Secondly, we have to name the parts and show them where it will be written. Thirdly, how it has to be written, the language which has to be. These are all logical steps. How do we start the first paragraph? How do we end the last paragraph? 1, 2, 3. We don't start with complimentary clause and end with sender's letter. No, it has a sequence of order. That is logic. So letter writing will be very good here. Even essays. Essays also, we have got opening, we have got middle paragraph, we have concluding this thing. So there also you can ask the students, suppose it is relating to the letter writing, we can ask the students to maybe asking them to write an essay, some part we tell them about the essay and asking them to write about the different parts. So these are some of the maxims of teaching.